fucking hell, the pressure's on now. This is take 3. And I'm picking up my lad pretty soon. So I got to get it right now. Don't say 12 months, for fuck's sake. Right. Okay, so I get this bit out of the way at the beginning. So I'm responding to Sargon of Akkad. Well, what's caused this is Sargon of Akkad had got Chrisiousity suspended from Twitter for 12 hours. Yes, 12 hours. Yes, I got it right. So, not 12 months. And the 12 hours are over now. So the world's fucking, that's why the world's still revolving. Okay, so I made a tweet about this, and I just wanted to clarify, just add a little bit to that, because Twitter's crap, isn't it? It's fucking shit, really. No wonder there's so much trolling on Twitter, because that's pretty much all it's good for. And so I'd made a tweet about this, and you might as well not bother, because what can you actually say? Especially because I'm trying to put all this rubber crumb around my lad's trampoline area. I mean, it's what used to be in happier times. It's what used to be my garden lawn, right? And now it's my lad's trampoline area. And I look on my phone and there's like 120 fucking responses, interactions or whatever you. After about 10 minutes, so I thought, okay, look, let's just go online and sort this out, because I'll just explain what I'm getting at here. It's worth doing, I think, because this is something that I think is quite important, and something that I've seen again and again and again with doxing and DMCAing and fucking false flagging, vote botting, right back in the day. Fucking Jesus. But before I do, so Chrisiousity is part of Christy Winter's little coven of cunts, as I've called them in the past. I don't mean, it's not because they're female, by the way, okay? I feel like I've got to clarify everything with regard to Christy now. And it involves Kevin Logan, Michael Rowlands, Promenade of Pricks, if you prefer. How about that? Little Promenade of Pricks. And this all kind of started, and this is perhaps, there's two things that I wanted to talk about here, otherwise I wouldn't have probably bothered making the video. This all started because, pick the bones out of this one. A guy called, I think, Ian Miles Chong had written a piece for, I think, the online version of The Sun or something like that about Sargon of Akkad. Christy Winters called it a puff piece, and I suppose it was, really. That is what it was. It was very one-sided. Christy Winters could clearly see that. Presumably she can't see all the other one-sided shite that's out there. Maybe just have a look at Salon or Slate and you'll see fucking wall-to-wall puff pieces. But anyway, that's pretty much what it was. And so she'd made this tweet, I think, to Ian Miles Chong and Sargon of Akkad, saying, you do realise this despicable Sargon of Akkad was laughing at the death of my dear friend Heather, which is this one of the skeptic feminist people, right? Who, the Russian Deadpool, the bloke there who did 90% of the talking, he shot her. And then they did this hangout and there was jokes made, and you've all heard all this shite before anyway. So the interesting thing with that, because I got involved in that little exchange online, and what I can't get my head on, call me cynical, right? Call me fucking cynical if you like, but Christy Winters gives off this vibe that she just loved Heather, she's just so fond of Heather, and if there's one thing she cannot stand, she just cannot abide, it's people not being sufficiently respectful, not being sufficiently reverent for the death of Heather, right? And I'd absolutely be on board with that if it wasn't for the fact that if I felt like that about somebody, right, I wouldn't be tweeting about it to the kind of person that I thought would be disrespectful, right? We all know what Christy Winters thinks about Sargon of Akkad, and we all know the kind of reaction she would expect to get from Sargon of Akkad. So colour me fucking surprised that Christy Winters tweets this to Sargon of Akkad. Sargon of Akkad makes a bullish, disrespectful tweet about this Heather back, effectively, and Christy Winters has a fucking fainting couch moment. How could he possibly make such a disrespectful comment about this person I loved so much? I just find, maybe I've got my little cynical cap on there, that's kind of fishing for that a little bit. That doesn't justify anything that Sargon said there, right? It doesn't matter. Aside from that, why the fuck should he care so much? This is the thing. Why should he care? It wasn't his friend. It was Christie's friend. It was. She should be. I could understand, people say distasteful things. Often not so much in public, tends to be more in private, but say distasteful things. We're more likely to do it about people we have no emotional attachment for. If we have emotional attachment in people, we don't say distasteful things, one, but two, we don't tend to bring them up. We don't tend to use them to furnish our cases when we think that that might result in people saying distasteful things about them, do we? It just seems like really fucking... I don't know, I'm a bit cynical about that. But as a result of what Sargon of Akkad has said, Chrisiousity chimed in and made a series of quite robust comments, and then got onto this sort of rant. I'm gonna tweet you every day for the rest of your life and remind you of this. Right, which is a bit over the top. Yeah, that's a bit sort of threatening, I suppose. But there is a facility called block or mute. You don't even have to block. You can just mute. And if you do that, then she may as well be writing letters to you, not putting your name and address on it, and chucking it in the fucking fire, right, for all the difference it makes. So you could do that. And as a result of that, Sargon of Akkad then has flagged that up, and she ended up suspended for 12 hours. I don't really see that as a victory, really. I understand the motivation, and I understand the kind of thrill of it's using their tactics back at them. But there are two problems here. One is the there that's involved in this, because we're getting into generalising grounds again, aren't we? Are these Chrisiosyty's tactics? Is this something that Chrisiousity has done? Or is it just that if somebody on her side has done it, then that's a legit thing to do to everybody on her side? Because if that's the way it is, then because Sargon of Akkad has done this, then it's perfectly legitimate to get me flagged off Twitter tomorrow if I overstep the mark. Why? Because, well, somebody else on my side has done it, so I'm responsible for that as well. We're very keen, aren't we? And we're not responsible for what everybody does, even if they are potentially on our side. This is something that people like Bering are very big on. Sargon's very big on other circumstances when some of his subscribers do things that he doesn't approve of. They may be on his side, but that doesn't mean he approves of everything they do. I've just looked at Chrisiosyty's tweets before I made this video. She's tweeting to say this is the kind of thing that she didn't agree with before. She agreed with biting your tongue and not just flagging something just because technically it might have gone against Twitter's terms of service. But she says now, well, why shouldn't I? Right? Why shouldn't I? Because if those are the rules we're playing by, if we're playing by these rules which are being quoted to her, which is, well, you've just been flagged, Twitter decides, right? This is the problem. I couldn't really give a crap about the ethics of it so much. It's not the ethics of it. It's just common sense. It's the same thing as why not to torture, right? Because it's not just a case of does torture work, but it really needs to work pretty well, because once you start torturing people, then that legitimizes them torturing you. No more can you really say, well, this is fucking, how despicable, we're playing by the rules and they're torturing, if you're torturing. Because they can say, well, we're torturing because you're torturing. And you can say, well, we're torturing because they're torturing. And this is what happens online. You must have seen it with doxing. I've noticed this with doxing. Both sides have doxed, claiming that, well, we're doxing because the other side's doxed. And this is what happens. It started to happen a little bit, or there was a campaign to do it with vote botting. It's 7 years ago now on YouTube. Then we started being able to flag videos in ways, and videos started getting flagged falsely. And then there was this specific kind of flagging, which was these DMCAs and these takedowns under DMCA, which was another thing which was abused. And then there was other kinds of flagging. And then we got round to this doxing thing eventually. And it's the same thing again, I think we all agree that it's a really bad move once you start saying, well, I've doxed because they've doxed. Somebody I know was doxed by their side, so I'm going to dox somebody on their side. They've legitimised the tactics. I'm just throwing the tactics back at them. Because all people on that side will see is that you've doxed someone, and that will then legitimise them doxing you. And in the end, right, everybody kind of loses out then. That we can't keep a lid on it anymore. And that's why every single time I've come out against this. And the fact that it's Sargon this time, it doesn't mean that I'm, well, okay, so I give it a bit of a pass here. It's not a good thing to do. I will assume that you will have watched this Sargon, all 10 minutes 39 seconds of it so far. And I kind of agreed, you know, with the Anita Sarkeesian thing. She was in a position of power then. I don't give a fuck how much she hated you. I can't give a fuck even if her grievances with you were legitimate. She was in a position of power. She was a guest speaker at VidCon. And as such, she has responsibilities that go above and beyond the norm. And it's not acceptable when you're on stage with a microphone, elevated with the position of power of a microphone, to decry somebody in the way that she did. And I think that you were right. You got some shit for that. You got some shit for that. Oh, Snowflake Sargon. But I think you were right to put a complaint in about that. And I think that they were very lenient with her, actually. And I think they should have... I don't think they should have suspended her or thrown her out. And I think you were wrong to suggest that that should have happened. But they should have condemned what she did and said, this cannot happen again, right? We will not accept this from our speakers again. That's what they should have done as far as I'm concerned. I think you were right. You're not right here. I don't think this is a good thing to do. I don't think this is going to end well if everybody just comes on board and says, yeah, well done, Sargon, this is the way forwards. If anybody transgresses, let's all read the Twitter code of conduct and work out exactly where the boundaries are. And if anybody just steps a little bit over those boundaries, let's have them. I don't think that will work out well for everybody. I really don't. And I can't get on board with that. Okay, I better go and pick my lad up from nursery. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.